Okay, friends, this is video 6 of the Parasite Protocol video series, and the visual quality is probably not going to be great because this has taken me all day long to get through, and I am now driving at sunset to my son's baseball game, and I really want to get these done before the end of the day, so we're just going to have a chat while I drive. The last video I said was going to be on how often. And this, again, like everything else that we've talked about, is highly individualized. So in the beginning, we talked about the detox box and how we recommend that the detox box be done at least semi-annually, but more likely quarterly. When we're talking about doing something above and beyond that, it really depends on a number of things, including your risk factors, which we talked about. Do you have pets? Do you live on a farm? Are you exposed to feces? Do you go places where you're more exposed to parasites? Do you travel outside of the country often? Do you live in a warmer climate or a tropical climate? We take into account your personal risk factors. Then we take into account how you respond to the protocol. Because when you look at how you respond to the protocol, it's telling us if there's a problem that's being fixed. This is another reason why when we did the video at 30 days, we talked about not quitting because you get uncomfortable, right? Sometimes your reaction to a detox or to a parasite cleanse or to whatever it is that you're doing, even just taking the vitamins or changing your diet, when you react and have noticeable symptoms of the thing you're doing to help, it's an indication many times that you needed it, right? Like the very first time I ever did a detox, I broke out in hives because my body was releasing toxins that had been stored in my body because I don't detox properly. I had never done an actual detox in my life. I have methylation issues. I have low glutathione production. I have the NOS3 gene, which deals with circulation. So I have lots of genetic SNPs that make it hard for my body to get rid of things that don't belong there, even though I've eaten clean for 15 years and I don't use any form of medications or anything like that. Like I live a very clean lifestyle, but I had never done that, and my body desperately needed it. So if I had quit in the first 5 days because I had broken out in a rash, I would have never gotten through to the other side and had all the benefits of it. As a matter of fact, I had a rash that made me want to rip my skin off for 14 days, but I didn't stop. And that is an indication that something was dying off, something was leaving, I was releasing something. And now, when I do my quarterly detox, I don't have those side effects. I'm doing them for maintenance, right? I'm making sure that it never builds up to that level again. And so we look at the symptoms that you have to determine whether or not you need to repeat them. Because remember, we talked before about the life cycle of the parasite. So if you're reacting very strongly, that's a clear indication that there's parasites and that they're dying, then we need to treat the next stage of the life cycle when those eggs hatch or when those cysts become the next phase of the life cycle. So that would indicate how frequently you would do them in the beginning, and then what the maintenance schedule on that would be very individualized based on you. So besides risk factors, besides symptoms, we also look at seasonal activity, warmer climates, like in the summer, there's more activity there's more exposure, I should say, to parasites. So again, I'm going to use the flea as an example because I think that's an easy one for people to understand. When I lived in Ohio growing up, it would be cold, the ground would freeze, and so from October to March or April, we wouldn't treat for fleas because they didn't live, they died. Well, now I live in Florida and it's warm all the time and there never really is a deep freeze, so our bugs don't die. So we have fleas year round, we have mosquitoes year round. The same is true when we're talking about parasites. If the environment isn't so harsh, then they can live longer, or they don't. In the case of something like that, where they die frequently, it's that the next generation, like the cycle keeps going. There's never a break in the cycle. And so there's never a time when there's not exposure. So we take that into consideration. Where do you live? What is your lifestyle like? Are you an outdoorsy kind of person? All of those things. It's getting dark out. I'm sorry that the video is not going to be great. But I just wanted to cover this little bit. So when it comes to your frequency, the other thing that I had touched on in a previous video was also lunar cycles, right? And how the lunar cycles translate to activity or movement for parasites versus dormancy, whereas cold weather can render them dormant. So you have to think about all of those things. So again, when we're creating a parasite protocol for you, with you, we'll talk about how all those things play into determining how frequently you should do it. So, to recap, we talked about the types of parasites that we're exposed to, the life cycle of the parasites that we're exposed to, the types of things that we can use naturally and pharmaceutically as anti-parasitics, what to do, what not to do, and how often to do it. And again, I know there's no real concrete answers because that is so unique to you. But I wanted to give you guys an idea of all of the things, all of the moving parts, because when you ask a question, you are expecting many times a direct blanketed answer. And that is because you have been conditioned over many decades by your family, your teachers, your doctors, whatever, to believe there is a one-size-fits-all answer to every problem. And I'm here to tell you that the whole process you're going through now is to learn that that's simply untrue. And that's why those things, those approaches where everyone is treated the same don't work. And that's why people come to Bedrock after having been to 10, 12, 15 doctors, spending sometimes thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in diagnostics, and they get no answers because no one has taught them how to approach the individuality of their health. And so no matter what the situation is, I know that you guys want simple, straightforward answers, but I want you to understand that it simply isn't black and white. There's always going to be gray areas that take into consideration the uniqueness of you. So have a great weekend, guys. I am off to baseball. I have a lot of work to do tomorrow. And then I have a short week next week with lots of appointments. If you guys have questions, if you're waiting for something from me, please let me know. And next week's video, I'm probably going to try to release on Thursday because we'll be in a volleyball tournament on Friday morning. Talk to you guys later.